When I first started attending Pride festivals, and of course the Kentuckiana Pride Festival wasn't official Pride Festival back in 1981 and 1982, we were way out in the middle of the fields in Otter Creek Park, in the middle of nowhere. Nobody was allowed to take pictures. It was very secluded, it was very private. People really had to feel safe and know that they were going to be safe out there. So to see the difference between that and where we are today, which is where it is just right out on the waterfront, or you know, the Pride Parade through Nulu, and everybody participating, and nobody having to be fearful that, oh my gosh, if I'm seen here, I'm going to lose my job or my family's going to find out. It's just a feeling of real accomplishment of how far that we've come.
I remember going to our local Pride, and it was maybe 2 blocks of a parade, and it lasted about 10 minutes. It was pretty lonely, you know, there wasn't a lot. And just to see that from then last year, which was, I mean, the parade took forever.
The parade is really something extremely accessible for both heterosexual families, gay families, and especially kids to be involved in celebration of gay pride and love and everything that comes with it. So it creates a really accessible path to get involved with what's going on.
My first Pride was Kentuckiana Pride in 2013. Then I went with a group of friends, and it just felt awesome to see what felt like the entire city coming out.
It was amazing. It was really cool for me to see fellow gay people in person because I had just struggled with coming out.
It was awesome just walking up and seeing, that was my first time ever seeing, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, like a gay event. It just felt like I fit in for the first time, kind of.
To see people being so openly themselves, it just opens that door, especially for younger folks who are going through the same thing.
I have been a DJ for multiple years. I've been a performer for multiple years. I've been an MC for multiple years. I'm an advocate because I'm an out trans woman of color, and there are not a lot of seats given to women like me. It's important for me to be visible because of that. Kentuckiana Pride has made sure that they've offered a seat at the table, and hopefully that will inspire other people who look like me or are having the same positions in life will see me and say that I can do that. Pride means being who you are, being where you are, living in your truth, and not being ashamed of it.
Growing up, I was oftentimes very disappointed in myself, especially about being gay and something that I couldn't control. And Pride, in a way, kind of helps reclaim that. And it's like, this is like something that you should be proud of. Like, it's a celebration of who you are as a person. And it's really important to have that.
It means I'm able to be myself, not feel ashamed.
Pride is just being happy with who I am, loving my community.
Knowing that you're not alone.
Celebrating the authentic human experience, and it's also a call to action for justice, for kindness, for love.
A place where we can all go and feel completely celebrated and comfortable.
When you see someone who might be 5 or 20 or 30 years older than you, like living their true self and like being themselves, really gives people that power to like be who they are.
To me, I think Pride means intergenerational revolutionary joy.
It's a celebration, but also, you know, a revolution.
An opportunity to connect, sort of like celebration and joy and festival and party and flamboyancy with revolution and social change and community building.
It reminds us of a time where, you know, people, namely Black trans women, have said, you know, we've had enough. And we deserve to be, you know, existing in all spaces, all the time. And so it's a time where, you know, we pay special attention to those sacrifices and to celebrate the gift that is, you know, the LGBT community.
I remember coming down, and it was, I don't know how many years ago, and it was very, very small. And then each year it grew and grew. And it's changed so much, and it's a reflection of the world.
These Pride events went from 50 to 75 people in a field out at Otter Creek Park to 20,000 people at Waterfront Park.
I think we do live in this beautiful bubble here in this city.
And I think we live in a country and a part of the world that elevates tradition And to have, I guess, an LGBT tradition such as Pride to become such a staple around the world, and not only in the United States, it shows us a testament of how far we've come to at least achieve some modicum of success in the movement towards liberation. But we shouldn't just stop at Pride celebrations.
Pride offers an opportunity to connect to those who started Pride, like Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, ACT UP. I mean, like, being able to get in connection with the fact that this fight against police violence, fight against oppression, fight against interpersonal, partner, and familial violence, like, that's a legacy of work that's passed down generation by generation. And while it's so great to look at the new generation, what they're doing, it also is equally important to really feel connected to those who came before us and who started that work.
Being able to see, okay, the reason I'm able to have it so easy is because of the path that was paved for generations before me.
Humble for me to think back and remember standing in front of what used to be the Board of Aldermen and speaking about the Fairness Ordinance, and that we actually had, instead of a Pride parade, there were Pride marches. And to see how far we've come along with that really is a testament to where I think what it says about our city and our people, and all the hard work that we put through, means those times of protesting and marching that I did back in the late 80s and early 90s is well worth it.
Pride is for everybody. You don't have to be gay to have Pride. It's a celebration, and it's good for us to welcome those that want to come. They're more than welcome.
It's not how you feel about somebody. It's not about who you're attracted to, right? But it's about just respecting the value of someone's life and viewing it as your own. And that's the thing that I feel like is needed most.
You can't be what you can't see. And you're seeing people that, you might not identify with or you don't see in your community. And it's a great way for us to meet and see us as a whole.
We're your brothers and sisters and neighbors and friends, and for everyone to come together and kind of see that and support that, I think that that's really beneficial.
When we see Pride and see Pride events where Black, queer, and trans people are being joyous, are living, exuberantly, it shows other people that they can too live this life, and that it's a happy life, and that we're not all sad, and that we do take the sadness, but we turn it into joy almost every time.
Working at Royals, I'm on the register, I have my nails painted, usually wearing a lipstick, and I've had parents who come through and later on they'll tell me that they have a boy and they're like, I want to paint my nails, and the parent will come through the next time in line and be like, hey, look at their nails, they saw yours and they were inspired. And I think it's awesome for those kids, and also maybe for kids of parents who aren't as accepting. Seeing that in other people who are older and more established shows that eventually that could be them out and proud and living their lives.
It's especially in the South, if you would call this the South, it's difficult to be who you truly are sometimes, be it family or financial or any of those other burdens that tend to keep people from being themselves.
Coming from other areas, especially towards the Kentuckiana Pride Fest, and seeing wow, okay, really, people are still going through these hardships that come along with coming out.
We're very lucky in this city because we have access to resources for young queer folks, and you get a lot of people from outside of town who don't usually get to express themselves like we do here all the time. And I think that's wonderful to see.
I think everyone should live in this world and be who they are. I think that it's horrible to feel that you can't live in your truth and be who you are to the people around you. I think it's a horrible thing that people put children in places where they're afraid to be who they are and live in who they are. And that creates some of the systematic problems we are currently dealing with.
Everyone always asks, what is the work? We get so esoteric about, what that means, right? And it's actually not hard at all, right? We're not just paying lip service. We're not just paying a fee. We're actually, first of all, paying our respect, and we're paying in our time. And that's the most important thing that we can do, is to show up for one another.
I think that we need to continue to move forward. There are a lot of places in Kentucky that don't have the fairness ordinance. But I will say that I also think that it is time that the community definitely stands with the Black Lives Matter. When I was marching back in the late 80s and early 90s, it was the Black community that came and stood with us.
We've been given this moment of time to really decolonize our minds and to look within inside ourselves and to truly see what values we hold dear and what has been placed on us. And so I think the work for Pride in the future and as our community is to tackle white supremacy and how white supremacy influences homophobia, transphobia, and sexism, because white supremacy is an LGBT issue.
Let's start reaching out to different communities and like have our Latinx, Latina artists, perform. This is in some way a legacy, and in a lot of ways a legacy that they're taking part in. It's an active history, and I see them wanting to be a part of that active history.
If we want a society built on love and common respect, we have to give love and common respect.
Everyone has a spirit that needs to be nurtured. And how do we come from it from a lens of, let's nurture this person, let's build them up, let's take them with us along a journey that's gonna heal all of our traumas and really help us find commonality as a community. We have to get to a place where every single day people who are marginalized can commit to claim space, and then society has to reaffirm that, right?
Because even if laws change, community culture changing is a completely other thing. It takes a lot longer.
Going back to what pride is, and even what queerness is, so much of it is about imagining the way the world could be, or imagining new ways of being, imagining new ways of loving, imagining new ways of calling each other by name. And so I think that the work of younger generations, my generation and those who are coming now after younger, Generation Z, and then forward into the future generations, their work is really going to be understanding that pride is about, like I said, constant change. It's about constantly moving forward while not losing that original vision of Stonewall and the first Pride. So it's about holding those two things at the same time. It's about understanding that pride is not about just getting naked and drunk. It's about us moving forward our communities to be bolder, to be stronger, and to take out the things that are poisoning them, the things like racism, the things like police violence, the things like poverty and transphobia and infighting. Right now, we're seeing this moment where pride is once again coinciding with revolution, with revolt and uprising against the police state, against police violence, and against racism. And to me, that's a great step forward for pride.